so much wisdom, and I can't wait just to see you continue to grow and reach the next level, because you are going to lead thousands of men. And so just strap on. Today's going to be incredible. I guarantee you're going to learn so much. PT is going to deliver an amazing message, but this young man, he's maybe young in years, okay, but he's very wise. And I just encourage you to take your notes and make sure your phones are silenced and all that kind of stuff. I apologize. I kind of got ahead of myself because I want to honor your time. But, this goes out around the world. So we're going to get going, and I'm going to bring up my brother, Mr. Blake Goad.
What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? We can do a little bit of that. How are y'all doing today? Awesome. There we go. Can we give Josh a round of applause? That was awesome. Thank you, Josh. He's an amazing servant leader at G5. Are you all excited? It's the first G5 leadership of February. Yeah. It's awesome. I cannot believe January is already over. It flew by and felt like it took forever at the same time. You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever felt like that, where like something takes forever, but it flew by at the same time? You're like, where'd that go? It's so crazy. But I'm excited what to share today. But before we get started, I love to have fun. How many of you love to have fun? But how many know in leadership we have to have fun? You have to enjoy life. And with the Super Bowl coming up, let's go Cincinnati. I'm an Ohio boy here, so I got to represent. But I wanted to tell a little joke. Can I tell a Super Bowl joke? Can I tell a joke? Okay, we need crowd participation here. How many of you know it's always awesome when people respond to what you're doing, right? So this gentleman was at the Super Bowl, and he's sitting in his seat, and he was so excited to represent, his team, and he was excited. He's got his jersey on, and this other guy was observing this older gentleman watching the Super Bowl, and he's sitting there, and there was a seat in between him and the older gentleman, and he was like, what's going on here? Like, there's nobody next to him. These seats are expensive. Like, why is nobody in that seat? And, he's watching throughout the first half of the game, and nobody came and sit down. And going towards the, fourth quarter, there's still nobody in that seat. And finally, he looked at the guy and said, "Hey, I hope you're doing amazing. I just wanted to know, did you have somebody coming to sit with you? This is just weird that nobody's here." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, Sonny. It was my wife's dream and I to come to the Super Bowl. And she passed away, and her last wishes were for me to go to the Super Bowl if she wasn't able to go." And he goes, "Oh, that's so sweet. Why didn't you get somebody, like another family member to come? Why didn't nobody come with you?" And he goes, "Well, that's the thing. They were it was either the funeral or this, and I chose this over the funeral." And he said, "I couldn't break my promise to my wife, so I had to come." But I love the innocence in that. How many of you know that man was enjoying life? I'm sorry, that's such a good joke. I forgot how good that was. That's awesome. But how many of you know that was leading through pain? Even though it's a joke, it was leading through pain. He made a promise. Today, I want to talk about leading through pain. Leading through pain. And how many know the last couple of years, we've all had to lead through pain? We've had to lead through things that we didn't want to lead through. We've had to lead people that we didn't want to lead, or people that we just wanted to be around. We didn't want to be around. How many know what I'm talking about? Yes. Right? So, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking there was 3 categories about leading through pain that I just wanted to cover. And I want to give you those 3 categories here. And number 1 was personal pain. The second group was pain that's your fault. And external pain. Now, personal pain could be stuff that you can't control. People pass away, or friends do things to you that you weren't expecting, or things that happen in your life that you didn't see coming out of nowhere. And external, pain that's your fault is, how many know that we all make mistakes? We all do things and then have to deal with the consequences later, right? How many know I'm not perfect, even though I look it, I ain't. Wow, I know Heidi's shocked. She's like, "Blake's not perfect?" Wow. I know Heath is, but I don't know, it's like, but how of you know, a lot of times the hardest things in life are things we create, problems we create in our own lives. It's amazing. And the external pain is things that are out of your control. out of your control. Like, I mean, I know everybody's got mixed feelings about COVID, but how many of you know that was an external pain that was out of our control? We couldn't control that. You know, how many of you know you can't control a family member getting sick, but you can control how they get better, right? But there's these amazing categories, and I just wanted to give you 3 points today that I feel like can help get through pain. Is that cool if we do that today? Okay. So the first pain is acknowledging that there's a problem. Acknowledging there's a problem. And I was thinking about it, and how many people do you know that try to solve stuff even if there's not a problem? I have so many people come up and they try to fix things and they try to do things. And look, I love that they're fixing stuff, but sometimes there's not a problem to be fixed. And how many of you know you have to acknowledge that there's a problem first in order to be able to willing to fix what the problem is? And how many of you know the value you bring will reflect on the value that you serve? So how many of you know the problems that you solve will reflect on the problems that you also created and the problems that you've been through? How many of you know what you've been through will help you go through what you're going to in the future? I have so many people in my life that have gone through so much that I can go to and say, hey, bro, I've seen you've gone through this. How did you handle it? What did you do, or what did you see that you would have changed that would have made it a better situation? And I want to encourage y'all to find people in your life that can help you acknowledge what the problem is and then help you change it and grow it. And not grow the problem, but grow out of the problem. And how many of you know one of the biggest victories in life is when you notice how to grow out of the problem and get over the hill? And the second point is you have to diagnose the problem. First, you have to acknowledge that there is a problem. And how do you know one of the greatest things in life is acknowledging that we all have problems in our life? And then I believe one of the biggest steps is being willing to grow enough to help diagnose what the problem is. And I think one of the biggest things in life is, how many of you know when there's a problem that you're trying to fix at work or wherever you're at, whatever you do for work, and how many of you know sometimes you're so close to the problem you can't see the bigger picture anymore when you're trying to deal with that problem? And one of the biggest things in my life that I've realized is that it's so important to get outside point of view on what you're doing. Because how many of you know sometimes you're so close to the problem, you need somebody that's at a 360-degree view, like at 30,000 feet, that can see the whole picture to go, hey, bro, here's what I see that you probably are not seeing at the moment, that you're so blindsided by everything that you can probably work on. And what I love is you know, we're talking about my father. He'll be up here in a minute. But one of the greatest things that I've seen people do is and I love this. And I know when people need to talk, because all I see is they get a text and they just say 1 minute, question mark. 5 minutes, question mark. And what that's doing is they're going, I'm going through something. And I just need somebody else's view on this to help me realize what I'm going through. Or to help me see if I don't see something. How many know that is huge? How many know it's so huge when you can get outside help? Now, here's another big thing. Make sure the outside help is not going to be toxic to the people that are in your group. And you're thinking, yeah, well, Blake, I can just go get anybody. Well, that's true, but you also got to be very discerning on who you go ask help to. Because sometimes asking help can even be worse than just dealing with the problem, right? So I just want to encourage y'all to be very wise on who you ask help from, but be willing to ask for help. Be willing to ask for help. But how many of you know when you don't change the problem and you don't try to fix it, sometimes you are the problem? Sometimes you're like, well, I don't see the problem. There is no problem. Well, that sometimes means you are the problem. And I'm sorry if that's mean, but how many of you know sometimes we need to be so, not mean, but we just need to go, guys, look. Sometimes, look, I'll admit it. There's times where my dad's had to come to me and go, bro, the reason you don't see there's no problem is because you're causing the problem. And I'm like, huh. Thanks, Pops. But how many of you know I'm a better person because he did that? Because now it makes me aware of what I'm saying and doing and what problems I'm creating and what problems I'm solving. And here's what I'm so thankful for is, like I said earlier, the problems I've come through help me solve the problems I'm going to go through. And I said it last night at the locker room meeting. And I want to encourage y'all to, if you all weren't at the locker room meeting last night, make sure you hear about the next one and get plugged in. It is going to be so awesome. But I said last night, I heard God say to me, and we are a church, but how many of you know I heard God say to me last night, and God said, I will expand your capacity to where it needs to be for the season you're going into. But I will not give you 100% capacity because people will not know how to handle it. But how many of you know the capacity you get going into the season will ultimately help you grow enough to then handle the seasons after that season? And how many of you would rather have people that have capacity than people that don't know how to do something? I would much rather have somebody that is willing to go to work and have work ethic than somebody that knows how to run a computer. Because I can teach somebody how to run a computer, but I can't teach somebody how to work. My dad says it all the time, but his greatest thing that he feels like his dad, one of my grandfathers, taught him was how to work. And I am thankful to God, and trust me, I'm still learning how. But one of the greatest things my dad taught me that my grandfather taught him was how to work through pain and how to work. And I am so grateful that now I can go and say, hey, am I working through pain, or is there something that I see that I'm messing up on? And how many of you know, it's like I was saying, you need friends in your life that you can go to and just say, hey, bro, white flag, what am I doing wrong that I don't see? And how many of you know, what I'm so grateful for the locker room last night, is we can come together as men and grow, and there's no judgment. We can walk together and help each other fix things that we see in each other without being mean or critiquing. It's just armor off. We're just saying, hey, man, I'm going through this. Is there stuff that you all have gone through similar that you can help me with? How many of you know I would rather have a friend that will walk through life with me than a boss that's telling me how to do it? That's massive. And I have more friends of mine that are more family. The friends are more family to me than some of my actual family members, my aunts, uncles, cousins, all that stuff. And I just want to encourage you all to not take those relationships for granted. Don't take them for granted. And number 3 is treat the problem. Treat the problem. So acknowledge the problem, diagnose the problem, and treat the problem. And you're saying, Blake, well, what if I don't know how to treat the problem? What if the problem is so massive right now I can't treat it? Well, here's what I want to encourage you. I'm not saying you have to treat it right now. Anything you do in life takes time. Anything you do in life. Anything worth doing takes time. Now, how many of you know that it takes longer to heal through pain after you've gone through something hard? You're not going to heal overnight, right? I had a friend that he loved like karate and all this stuff. And he pulled his groin while doing it. And it hurts. For y'all that have not done it, it hurts. But he felt the pain. But he decided to keep going through the pain. Now, I'm not telling you not to work through pain, but what he did was he worked through the pain so much that he injured himself worse than if he would have stopped and said, time out. I hurt myself. And next thing you know, he had to have surgery on what he messed up. And then he thought, oh, the surgery fixed me. I can go right back in and keep going. 2 days after his surgery, he was right back at his dojo fighting again. But how many of you know, sometimes healing takes time. And some of you all, I love you all, but you are in such a hurry to do stuff. And how many of you know, I love that people want to get stuff done. But you can get stuff done while you're healing. Guys, I know about getting stuff done while I'm healing. And I'm not trying to make this about me, but guys, look, when I was born, I almost died. I know about pain. The doctors told me that I was going to have heart problems and lung problems for the rest of my life. But how many of you know that, thank God, that I have no heart problems today? But how many of you know I had to learn how to work through going to the hospital every 2 weeks and figuring out what was wrong with me? I didn't give up. I promise you, I didn't give up. I mean, you're saying it hurt. Trust me, it hurt. I still hurt. And I'm thankful for that hurt because I always tell people, if it wasn't for my past, I wouldn't know how to handle my future. The pain that I went through, the sacrifices that my family's gone through, the sacrifices you all have gone through to get to where you are. How many of you know you appreciate where you are so much more now because of what you went through? The pain you went through, the pain that people's caused in your lives. And how many of you know I could bring all of you up right now and each one of you could have a story of somebody that's hurt you, or something in business that's have hurt you, or something you've done that you didn't realize that was going to hurt you eventually. But I just want to encourage y'all to be willing to have people in your life that will walk through the pain with you, that will be there for you when you're down on your knees and you don't know what to do. And I know you're going to laugh at me, but every time I go through something, I picture Rocky IV, and he's running through the snow, you know, and he's got Eye of the Tiger playing in the background. I play that. My sister is annoyed by that song now because I play that song so much. But how many of you know things in life, you need motivation to get through life? And I want to encourage you to get people in your life that will motivate you as much as you motivate them. Because how many of you know in life, you need people that will stand, I keep saying this, but it's so important, people, that people will stand beside you and lock arms and go, and I always love what my dad says, is, charge hell with a water pistol. Part of me thinks that'd be kind of fun. Get Nerf guns and water guns and but how many of you know that you need people that will go to the ends of the earth to protect you from what you're going through? Now, I didn't say they were going to keep it from happening, but they're going to protect you and want to die for you to help you get through the next level. So I just want to encourage y'all. If you have issues, if you have problems, and how many know we all have them? We all have. I want to pull a buddy of mine and click my feet. I can't do that, but I'm more down to earth than most people. With the height problem, it's fun. The air's clear down here. It's fun. But I just want to encourage y'all. When you're going through pain, acknowledge what the problem is. If you don't know how to acknowledge the problem, have people around you that can help you acknowledge it. Figure out what the problem is once you acknowledge it. How to diagnose the problem and treat the problem. And sometimes treating the problem could be, hey, guys, as a team, let's heal this up and let's figure this out. It could be simple as that. And I'm going to end with the quote that, how many of you ever heard of Mother Teresa? She's kind of a really famous person. She's like me. She's more down to earth than most people, But I love what she said and it's so true to deal with this, is everybody comes into your life as a lesson and everybody comes into your life as a blessing. So I want to encourage you all to treat every lesson you have as a blessing and every blessing you have as a lesson. Because there's no matter what, you can always learn something through something you're going through or somebody else, your friends are going through something. So I want to encourage y'all to do that. I'm going to bring up a man that helped me when I was going through pain. When I was going through stuff, he was there for me. And granted, he's my father. But how many of you know sometimes even a father, they don't have to be there, right? And I'm so grateful for this man. So will you please help me welcome my amazing father, Mr. Tim Goad.
All right. Thank you so much. Look at your neighbor and say, you look better than I thought you would, man. I love you, buddy. Good to see you. How are you, man? Good to have you. So glad you're here. Way to go, Blake. Oh, man, that's rich right there. I love that. Man, how many of y'all need that? Like, you ever been in pain? You ever have a loss? You ever have a setback? You ever have a moment in your life where you're going, oh, now what do I do? I never thought I'd get here. And life is full of transitions. Do you agree with that? And, man, the better you make it through those transitions, the more powerful you are. I talk to a lot of leaders, as they've said, and I enjoy that. Matter of fact, today has been extremely, extremely crazy. How many of you plan your day and then you have all these crises that come in? Do you know what I'm talking about? The unexpected, right? And I love helping people walk through places where they are, but normally your next level, you have to completely retool who you are. And it's painful. It's so painful. And there's nothing worse on this planet than, I think, to see a leader who has become obsolete because they can't change. The world around them's changed. Attitudes have changed. I had a talk with an amazing young leader from California this morning, and we were just talking about language. And now when you're talking to people, how much different you have to talk to them now than you did even 10 years ago. And so it's about that awareness. It's diagnosing. It's being willing to do that. Can I do some just 2022 groundwork for you real quick? If I were to sit down with you and have a 4-hour coaching session, we would go through these 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm not going to do 4 hours. I'm going to do this very fast, and then we're going to move into what I really want to talk to you about. We'll start talking about it today because I want to honor your time. Every leader has to do these 4 things. I don't care what kind of company you own. I don't care what you do. And by the way, this information normally costs companies thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So when you look at your life, leaders do 4 things. I guarantee you I'm focusing right now in my life on everything that I'm allowed to do. I am applying this. I applied these 4 things this morning. And here's what I will tell you. When you do, it will change your life forever. It really will. So number 1, leaders have to create positive change. Positive change. Notice I didn't say change. Notice I said positive change. A lot of leaders just love to change things. I'm bored, so let's change it. And if you're ever a part of an environment that is, it's suffering from over change, you'll know how confusing that environment can become. A person that you love, if all of a sudden their behavior becomes so sporadic, it breaks trust. You understand? You agree with what I'm saying? So right now in your company and in your life, what are 5 changes you need to make in your life? What do you need to do in your personal life? What do you need to do in your spiritual life? What do you need to do in your financial life? What are the changes you need to make? I would just encourage you. Companies that do not change are led by people who do not change. So if I could do anything for you in the next 30 days of your life, I would sit down with you and ask you, what changes do you need to make? Now, there's 3 areas in your life that I wished I had a lot of time to talk to you about, but I'm going to ask you to make changes in these 3 areas of your life, okay? Number 1 is in your identity. How you see yourself gives you the ability to create positive change. Right? Now, let me just state this, and please write this down. I beg you. Okay? You will not remember this stuff. So here you go. You will either lead change or change will lead you. And there's nothing more drastic in a life and in a relationship than when the world changes around you, but you refuse to change. Right now, we're living in a time where this pandemic has come along, and a lot of people are acting like it's the only pandemic we've ever had in the history of the world. But truthfully, there have been many pandemics. It's not the pandemic that's going to destroy us. We'll survive that. What's going to hurt us is our mindset and how much we keep trying to hold on to yesterday when the train's already moved. Are you with me? So There's nothing more painful in life than trying to hang on to where I am while nothing in the world is where I used to be. You know what I'm talking about. So here's what I can tell you. You either have the pain of change or you have the pain that is really painful of remaining the same. I think I can make a really great case as a leader. How well you do with change is going to determine how far and how high you can go in leadership. As my son talked about that, 3 great points. I love that. If an athlete has an injury and they go to the doctor and say, how long will it take me to recover? The doctor will say these 3 things. It could take a month, it could take 6 months, or it could be never. Do you know why? It has to do with your ability to endure, tolerate, and leverage pain. Pain. Elevate this year, April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, excuse me. I hope you'll be here because we are going to launch leaders at a level that they never thought they could be. But I will tell you this, the pressure that's in your life right now that causes you to be anxious and fearful and angry and mad and upset is the very thing that honestly was put in your life because you need that development to leave where you are to where you need to go. Oh man. I have a lot of leaders and I'm a pastor, so don't let that freak you out, okay? But I have so many people that walk up to me after services. What's your name? Andrew. Andrew. Yes, how'd you get here? He brought me. He brought you. Andrew, I'm so glad you're here. Look at you. How old are you? I'm 19. 19. Dang. You're talking about an emerging young leader that's going to change the world. Dude, he is locked. He is like, woo, let's look at that. What was I talking about? I was talking about Andrew, but what was I talking about that before that? You guys come up to you after service. Yeah, he come up to me after service. And is it Andrew? It wasn't Andrew, but a guy like Andrew walked up to me and said, will you please pray that this will go away in my life? And I went, well, talk to me. And he goes, what do you mean talk to me? I want the pain to go away. I go, I got to first find out whether the pain was meant to hurt you or whether the pain was meant to build you. Because if you're right now needing to move out from where you are, a guy came to me the other day and he goes, I made $5 million last year and I think that's really good. And I go, compared to what? I said, if I could sit you down right now and tell you that in your stewardship, do you hear me? In your stewardship, do you understand that word? It's what you do with what you've been given to you. And all of you have been given 24 hours a day. I said, if you should be making $20 million a year, you're a bad servant and you're a bad steward. Do you know why? Because anytime there's a limitation in your life, it normally equals, I wasn't willing to change. I wasn't willing to change. Do you know why most marriages die? You know why most relationships fall apart in business? Somebody's not willing to change. So, I think you agree with me. Change is incredible. I think I could give you example after example after example. IBM, big fat company, doing a lot of money. And the next thing you know, these gearheads are sitting in a back room getting kicked out of college. So we have a dream that every person will have a computer in their phone. And they got beat because they got stuck in yesterday's technology. In your life right now, if I sit down with you and you were paying me a lot of money, and you should. I'm sorry. If I ask you right now, where are you stuck? Hey, look, I got integrity when I talk about this. About 14 years ago, I went through a complete life change. I built an organization with 500 employees, 5,000 volunteers. I say this stuff and I go, who would ever believe I did that? Because that doesn't even sound possible, you know? We gave away $300 million a year around the world. And I got very, very disgruntled. I would walk off stages and I would grab my little wife's hand, who was back over there in the room. Her name was Gay. And I would say to her, as people were screaming, I would squeeze her hand and go, I am miserable. And she would look at me, how can you be miserable in the middle of this much success? I said, because there's something else in me that I've got to get out. If I sit with you right now, what is it that's in you that fear has grabbed your heart and you're a nervous wreck about stepping into that future? And so I shut down that organization and literally started over again, and nobody thought I would. But I don't want to be most men and women where we spend most of our lives building a kingdom and we spend the rest of our lives protecting it. I don't want to be that man. I think I would choose happiness and joy and productivity over any day what somebody's opinion of me is. I think every day we're tempted in our own souls to decide whether I'm going to live under the fear of man or if I'm going to choose freedom. So, did I beat that enough? Create positive change. I got a lot more, but I'll back away. Second thing is cast clear and compelling vision. Clear and compelling vision. Clear and compelling vision. Clear and compelling vision. Now, if you have great words with bad example, I can tell you it's not going to work in your life. I see a lot of people that get up and they give great talks about how much they value people. And then when they come off stage, they don't value anybody. My daddy, one day I went to him and said, Daddy, I want to change the world. And my daddy looked at me and said, well, why don't you start with getting your room in order? I was like, well, you sure know how to take the wind out of a man's sails. But how many of you know my dad was more interested in my character than he was even my grandiose dreams? See, there's this book that says that if you're faithful in the little, then I'll elevate you. If you're having trouble getting unstuck from little, and by the way, little is not $1. It's $10 million if you could do $1 billion. Are you with me? It's relative. So what are the changes I need to make? And where is it in my life right now that I don't have clear vision? Because whenever you don't have clear vision, I promise you, it has no compel to it. Right? So what is it? And most of you, some of you have the gift of vision, and some of you have the gift of understanding how to make the vision work. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some of you are grandiose visionaries, but you as yet don't have somebody that closes the back door for you. And by the way, I've lived my life like that for a lot of years, as I'm a master dreamer, and then I frustrate the mess out of people. My daughter, who is in, I think she's here. Yeah, she's in the room. We launched a thing last night called the Locker Room for Men. And for those of men that were here last night, our goal, and by the way, next time we have a meeting, I'll come in and cast vision. I just wanted to give it a shot last night with a new model, which is not personality driven, it's team driven. I think the day of personalities running things in this world are probably past its prime. I think it's going to take a team of us to come together and stand up and say, this is worth fighting for. But we're going to cast this vision. And I kept running down the road because if I can reach 50 men locally, I could reach 500,000 men around the globe. So I'm thinking, why do it? And so my daughter just looked at me and she goes, Daddy, you know how much I love you. I honor you. But can we just do this one right now? And I'm like, yes, daughter. Now, let me tell you, for those of you in the room, the most important thing I said in that sentence was she did it with honor. It's hard to cast clear and compelling vision and make big change while dishonor is in the house. So I just want to encourage you to do that. So right now, what is your vision? What is it that you're going to be 5 months from now, 6 months from now? What's your marriage going to be? What's your finances going to look like? What is your gift that has been given to you? How are you going to start giving your life away? I had an incredible lunch today with a really dear friend of mine, and I love him because he's just a massive visionary, and he comes and he's like all great leaders. He's running in 90,000 different directions, and I love that, and I think it's so cool. And then I just get the privilege to ask my friend some very clarifying questions, and then kind of put my foot kind of where it matters and said, I talked to you about this a year ago. Why have you not done it? Clear and compelling vision. Now, if you're going to have clear and compelling vision, the first thing you've got to have is a mentor. And I don't care how old or how young you are, you better have a mentor. I have many of them. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk to you in a second about habits. One of the habits that I've had in my life for a really long time is once a month I call somebody or I have a lunch with somebody that is a mentor of mine, and here's the secret. Most of them don't even know they're a mentor. Some of these mentors are highly successful people. Some of them are people that have completely crashed their lives and they're burning. And I just sit down and go, hey, how'd that happen? You see, we got to learn not only from success, we've got to learn from what doesn't work. We call that failure, but it's actually something that doesn't work. Who is it in your life right now? Oh, come on, talk to me. Who is it right now in the room that has no feedback? If I walk down from giving a talk and you're a friend of mine, can I tell you what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk up to you at some point. Bro, it's so good to have you. Can I tell you what I'm going to do? I'm going to look at you and I'm going to go, is it Sasha? Yeah, see that? Big boy over here, basketball. I love him. I'm going to walk over to him, and I'm not going to want a compliment from him. Most people want compliments. I got a question. Was I clear? And was I relevant? Feedback. Feedback. Now, just because people give me feedback, do I take that feedback and go, oh, I better listen? No, I have a lot of people come up to me and give me a lot of yesterday information who just are so certain they're right. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And be honest with you, some of the greatest feedback I've ever gotten in my life was not from other people who are grandiose. It was actually a janitor in a coliseum who walked up and said, you don't know this, but I was standing up there. And you were so clear when you invited me to become the person that I needed to be. Wow. So where is the person in your life right now? Or do you just have an unexamined life? Beware of the barrenness of an unexamined life. Be careful when your own voice and your little crowd of people that are around you that love you and care for you give you your feedback. Oh, you're just so perfect. My wife, I love that she admires me and loves me, and I listened to her message that she'd preached when I wasn't here, and she was edifying me, and I said, oh gosh, you're so accurate in your talks. But it was just like, no, I went, honey, thank you for that. But can I tell you, at the same time, and this will strike fear in a lot of men's hearts. There are times I look at her and go, honey, how am I doing? And I don't like what she says. She'll go, well, maybe you need to put your phone down at dinner. I live a life that 24 hours a day, I'm on call. And how many of you know it's so easy in life to get the urgent in front of the important? Feedback. So as we move in this, you'll know. The third thing is I have to solve problems. Why do I solve problems? Because it removes confusion and conflict. It removes confusion and conflict. In your life right now, where is that conflict? By the way, if you're not getting feedback, if you don't have a mentor in your life when you're done doing what you're doing, that you don't come and go, hey, how did I do? I have across the country on any given week, guys that call me with just feedback. They're feedback calls from me. And they'll start texting me if they're in our family room or if they're so I have these plants everywhere that kind of watch me, and they'll text me. Some of them do it to encourage me. Some of them go, hey, I thought you could be a little clearer here. Now, some of you, that would really offend you. Now, I don't have any people that have a critical spirit doing that. I have positive feedback that says, man, this really touched my heart. But I think if you, now I get better. Do you want to get better? I want to get better. I want to get better. I want to be better at everything I do. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better leader. I want to be better with my interactions. I want to be better at taking feedback. I want to be better at being a student. I don't want to think I've arrived. And I don't want to get this kind of an attitude that I've arrived. I want to keep striving. And I'm asking a lot of other men and women to join me in that. Just join me in that. But be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful when honestly your life creates problems for the leaders that you're serving with. You understand what I'm saying? It's critical. People don't like problems. Have you figured that out? They fire problems. Right? And so I think my son did an amazing job. I don't need to keep harping on this. If I don't think there's a problem, I probably am the problem. And I can tell you, listen, I love you. My name's PT. If you're not getting feedback in your life right now, you are a problem. I know that's straight, but it's true. So I don't want to be that. Like, my strength is vision. But vision that doesn't have boundaries in it is frustration. Some leader, listen to me right now, needed to hear that. Sometimes when there needs to be more on what we need to do, not what we're going to do, you can create frustration. So you'll be remembered for the problems you solve or the problems you create. You get to decide. So in your life, the fourth thing I have to do, every leader has to do, is I have to raise leaders. I don't have enough leaders. You don't have enough leaders. You don't have enough leaders in your business. You don't have enough leaders in your families. Now, leaders are kind of interesting because they're kind of like eagles. They don't really like to congregate. And a lot of leaders get frustrated because they desire the medication of people worshiping them and bowing down to them. I love honor and respect. I think it's really, really important. But I know leaders, man, they just don't really conform. They're transformers. They're transformational leaders. And so in your life right now, do you have leaders that are transformative? Are they solving problems? Are they making positive changes? Are they willing to do that? So in your company, if we looked at it, if we looked at what you're doing right now, do you have those people in your life that are going, hey? Now, you got to really look a long time. Don't put anybody in that situation, right? So who would be a wrong person? Just because they have a lot of money, put them in it. Money does not equal wisdom, and money does not equal proper information. Sorry, I was being careful what I said there. How many of you know words, you can't get them back once you say them, right? And so, also, a critical person. You're going to get mad at me, but an over-spiritual person. I need people that have their feet on the ground with wisdom that comes from above. And normally when you get around those people, they don't have a dominating spirit on them. You know what they have on them? A servant spirit that almost breaks their heart when they tell you. Oh gosh, we could talk a lot, couldn't we? Because that's critical. Beware in your life when you cannot control what comes out of your mouth. Just be careful. It's just so critical. Words cannot be gotten back. You remember the statement, sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will never harm me? Well, we all know that's a lie. Because some of us are still trying to overcome, as leaders, words that were spoken and words that were not spoken. Can I tell you, the longer I'm on this planet and the more marriages I deal with and the more leaders I deal with that deal with people, I'm starting to realize sometimes words that are spoken can be painful, but words that are not spoken are even more painful. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so this is critical. So I got to move fast, so I'm going to get one of this. Now, in leadership, I want to challenge you because what you do all the time isn't a result of conscious choices. Let me say that again. As a leader, what you do most of the time is not a result of a conscious choice. It's actually a result of a habit. You have eating habits, speaking habits, thinking habits. Everything in your life is a habit. So according to a study done by Duke University in 2006, over 40% of the actions that you do every single day of your life are not a result because of a decision that you've made. It's a result of a habit that you have. Oh, can we talk? Okay? So in your life, what it's saying is you didn't even decide to do it. It was in your rhythm. It was in your system. It was in your habit. I was at lunch today with my buddy, and now you guys want to know who my buddy is. Can I tell them who my buddy is? My buddy is Jared, and I love him. He's a friend that's come into my life. And can I share this, or will you be upset at me? You'll be all right? I'm about to hang out his dirty laundry. All great leaders have something in them that makes them want to run. They just run. I guess it's the propensity for action. It's the propensity to get something done. It's the energy of I don't want to miss out. It's like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this now. And then sometimes, you know what it is? I just really don't know what I'm doing. But I'm going to run around until I find something. While other people will just sit down and go, well, when it comes to me, I'll get it. Now, I'm not against that. I'm just saying, accept it. Okay? And so I just finally said, hey, your rhythm is running. But here's what I can tell you. What you really want to do is so obvious you can't even see it. Most of us in this room, I'm going to get in trouble now, okay? Can I get in trouble 1 second? And I'm going to go about 5 more minutes and then I'm going to shut down. Most of us are so busy trying to create what I want to be that I won't step into what I already am. Okay, so let's say that again. I'm so busy trying to create what I want to be that I don't step into the gift of what I am. And so here's what happens. You try to create this gift that says, this is what I am, whether it's whatever it is in life, okay? Can anybody learn how to sell? You sure can. Do you know why? Because selling is nothing more than a transfer of feeling. I want you to feel about this the way I feel about this. If I take a bite of a Big Mac, I immediately start selling. Oh, that's so good. Now, my wife doesn't think so, but her taste buds are a little bit out of whack because she's eaten so much salad, she doesn't know how great whatever that special sauce is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, see, as I'm doing this, you're already starting to picture a Big Mac. How many of you have ever had a Big Mac? Okay. So those of you that have had a Big Mac, you know what it is, and you're reliving an experience. And those of you that have never had one are going, I don't want that. Or you're going, boy, I'd like to try that. I spoke in front of a group in Salt Lake City, and the whole night long I talked about eating cheeseburgers in paradise. And after it was over, we went to, what was the name of that restaurant? In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger. And the place was packed with people eating In-N-Out Burger. Do you know why? Because I talked about burgers for so long. You know how the grease and the ketchup and the mayonnaise and the pickles, you know how it just runs down. Now, if you're hungry right now, you're like tripping. You've already started salivating. And here's what I can tell you. All this, you don't have to tell it to do it. If I talk to you about right now your favorite place in life right now, where is it? Is it on a beach? Is it in the mountains? Your mind is so created right now that you have a habit that you automatically start creating a mental image. Are you with me? Now stay with me because this is critical. If you want to increase your results and create a greater performance, it's got to be built in a habit. So many of us, we've previously done things over and over and over. Now we just do it without even thinking about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so you got to be careful in your life that in your leadership, if you want to change your impact, you're going to have to change your habits. If you want to change your impact, you're going to have to change your habits. It's why right now, and I'm closing, and then I'll take some questions. Right now, I'm in a series on goal setting, and it's critical. And it's why last night at the locker room here with men, we start talking about goals again. You're going to find out this year, everything we do is going to have continuity in it, and it's going to build upon top, a build upon build, because that's why I want you to stay with me, because that's how you produce new habits and life change in your life. So here's what I can tell you. We start talking in our lives right now as we move forwards. I will not only talk to you a lot about do goals. I want to talk to you about who goals. So I want to ask you right now, in a year from now, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Because who you become is going to determine what you do. And here's what I want to challenge you with right now, okay? What is one habit that you could start right now that you are not presently doing that will get you farther in your who goal and get you closer to your do goal? What habit do I need to start? Now, hopefully in your life, you have a list somewhere on your phone and on a piece of paper that you look at every day that states, honestly, what your goal is in your life. And it's a statement of your leadership. It's a statement of who you are. And so it would say, as a leader, I am full of integrity. As a leader, I have an incredible heart for people. As a leader, I have a servanthood mindset. As a leader, I create positive change. As a leader, I have clear vision and I work on it more and more and more. Somewhere around you right now, there has to be people. There has to be a list of things that you're going to be. I, as a leader, love people. I use things and I love people. You'll know right now whether you love people or you love things. If you just love to get things done and you don't care about people, that will show up. Remember, who I am is a goal, not just my do goals in my life. So when you figure that out, it should be clear what habit you need to start. So for instance, just before I come to a close here, okay? If I'm going to work with people, how many of you know that people are the greatest blessing and they can be the greatest challenge? Right? Thank you. I mean, you see, here's the challenge. Most of us think in life, if people were just like me, the world would be a really great place. But it's not. So anytime you run a business and you hire somebody from another business, can I tell you the challenge you have? Well, we used to do it this way. And now you've got to retrain and treat and create a new culture and a new thought process and a new discipline in a life. That's why a lot of times, you know what companies are doing right now? Listen to me, this is critical. They're hiring people that never were educated in Ivy League schools. Do you know why? They already come to a company with a preconceived way that doesn't work. So they're now hiring people that are not even in the industry and putting them in the chair because they find out they're more creative and they get more done because they think outside the box. By the way, in the world that I live in, church, a lot of times people leave churches where they are and they come to your church and they think your church should do what their old church did. It's just the way life is. I was talking to a young man today about his relationships. And I said, bro, get ready. This is going to be incredibly, incredibly painful because his marriage is just crumbling. And I said, bro, you've got to be retooled. Because you come to a relationship with a predetermined idea of what you should do that does not work. Wow. Okay, so there's a lot to get done in that. I want to encourage you, don't let another year pass that you do not add a specific habit in your life. Don't let another year go by that you don't do something. I am amazed, and we're going to talk about this next month. I am amazed 3 key habits that if you'll put them in your life, what they'll do in your life. And let me give you just a little heads up so you'll want to come back. All right? It is amazing and powerful how one small habit change can create such a big difference in any organization, in your own personal life. It's just amazing. I'll just give you a little look into my life. Here's what I can tell you. I used to drink probably, 12 to 15 Diet Cokes a day. I just pounded them. And one day I said, I'm not drinking Diet Coke anymore, and I started drinking water. Okay? It's probably 15 years since I've had a Diet Coke. One small habit will make such a massive difference in your life. I've discovered this about a lot of leaders. A lot of y'all spend so much time thinking about what you're going to eat. You really do. And I don't get it. I love you. If I ever go to dinner to you, please promise me that before you go in, find out the greatest dish the restaurant makes and order the dish. But don't say, oh, let me think about it. Because the waiter or waitress is gone, and now you're on their time. And I just want to say, give me this. And I'll even sometimes say to Gate, will you order for me? Because if you don't, I'm going to order what I shouldn't have. But you would be amazed how one small habit, if I could, I probably would eat the same thing every day for lunch. Because I don't want to think about it. Why? Energy, time. So you may say, well, I don't believe in that. I really like going to eat. Okay. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling you, one small habit will lead to such a major difference in your life. We'll pick up on this next month. Does anybody have a question about positive change, clear vision, compelling vision? Anybody got a question about any of that? And we'll get moving to the next level. Anybody got a question on any of those things? You're building a leadership? Yes. Ryan Solomon, love you.
So how important, Tim, is it when goal setting, do you think, to write it down?
What a great question. You just teed that right up for me, didn't you? So if you follow 100, Social Security did a report, by the way, thanks for the question. If you follow 100 men in America, only 5 out of 100 men and women write down their goals. But of those 5 people, they have 98% of the success. I can't tell you how important it is for you right now. I don't care how young, I don't care how old. You've got to write down goals. Right now, my daughter, can I tell them that? She has taken piano lessons, and the other day she was running scales. She's building a new habit. And I wanted to sneak around the corner and go video so that 20 years from now, when she's sitting down and playing anything she wants to play, she'll realize that it started with the mundaneness and the pain of a simple scale with a goal. So it is so, so critical. Right now, and I'm in a series right here, if you go for, thank you for teeing this up, on godly goals. because they are truly different than earthly goals. Why? Because they honor God and they last for all eternity. It's just a different way of looking at life. And so it's powerful. So I hope that helps. Anybody else got a question before we take out of here? Yes, Matt. Do we have a microphone?
When you're casting a vision, how do you make sure that the group that you're casting it to, that vision is in line with what they're wanting to do also?
Wow. So I find out their interest, because anytime you put up a vision, it demands you change. A vision demands you change. You cannot reach something new without changing something that you've been doing. And so I go to them and let them see the reward. So when I cast vision, I ask people for three things. What do they want? What do I want them to know? What do I want them to do? And what do I want them to feel? Okay? My friend Horace Schultz, who does all the training for Ritz-Carlton, will walk into maids and laundry and cleaning people and say to them, watch this. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Do you see what he just did right there? He changed their complete identity from you're a little maid worker. Matter of fact, do you know at the Ritz-Carlton, every maid and every service worker on the spot has already been put in order that they can spend up to $2,500 to keep a guest? Vision. You know what the vision is? Service. You know what service is? An experience. Do you know what experience and service equals? More customers. So vision, I'm going to cast it. Is it clear? I'm going to make sure it's in the world that they live. I want to make sure I cast it in a way that they can see what they're doing. And what I mean by that is when they see it, it's congruent with their values and their desires and their hungers. Now all I got to do is build the plan, which is just the steps to get there, which is critical. So for me, just closing, we'll get out of here. When I was, 22, 23, I was doing all this stuff around the world. I was feeding starving children. I had Bibles, building house, Cuba, all this plus all over the world. And a lady walked in, a little tiny lady, and she goes, I have no idea what you do. I go, well, ma'am, I write books, and we wrote it all down. I sing, we have albums, I train leaders. I mean, if I ask you what you do, if I cornered you today and asked you on an elevator ride for 8 floors, what do you do? How fast could you tell me what you do? For 5 days, I put up her abusing me. I don't know what you do. I'm like, I'm going to Google this one more time. He got me mad. I was like, you little crazy thing. And about 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday night, I woke up and I went, I know what I do. Whew. I give hope. Whether I'm feeding somebody, writing a book, singing a song, preaching a message, doing whatever I do, I'm delivering hope. So if you ask me what I do, I'm a hope deliverer. It's why it says hope happens here. How do I do it? By sharing God's love and encouraging others that they have purpose and that they can make a difference. Powerful. Now, what is your values in your life? Because every vision has to have values. And if your company and the people working with you don't know your values, watch this. Define that value. Put a behavior with that value. You don't have values. Because values are not written on a piece of paper. They're actually caught, not taught, and they're living organisms. So if you say we want to have integrity, but you have dishonor, right? Whew. So we got to make sure we do it. So if we say we're a loving church, but we're mean, that doesn't add up. And I'm just telling you right now, for those of you in the room, 30 years and younger, they ain't going to tolerate it. Excuse me, they will not tolerate it. Sorry, the country boy in me came out. Because people right now want to know, can I trust you? It's the number one question people ask of you right now. Can I trust you? Can I trust you? Can I trust you with my people? Can I trust you with my influence? Can I trust you? Can I trust you? And Josh had a powerful thing to say the other day, and I am really closing after this. I went in and I talked to a bunch of men, and I told them about doing a men's night, and we cast vision. And he walked outside and said to another young man, do you not only think the thoughts, but can you feel what he feels about it? Wow. That's deep. See, you can say I got a really nice family, but if you don't feel the way I feel about them, you'll dishonor it. If you say I love my employees, but you treat them with disdain, what is disdain? It's me trying to get you to do what I want you to do for me instead of you doing what you want to do for you. Now, if you have somebody that has to have something done, for God's sake, get it done. Get it done. But when I'm trying to motivate you, I realized a long time ago, I can inspire you. It's your job to motivate you. So a dream and a vision will motivate you, but habits are the thing that keep you in the game. So right now, if I sit down with you, I would go into your habits and find out, what are you doing? What are your thinking habits? What are your speaking habits? So I will just tell you this, and I'm sorry, this is so deep, right? But I have so many people that come to me, and they know the right thing, but they say the wrong things. Are you with me? God, if you have questions, please ask. You cannot be double-minded. You cannot say this and then do this. Scripturally, Jesus said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not what I say? You name my name, you take my influence, you say you're my part of my family, but I don't see any real habits in your life that look like mine. Okay, so there's a really great book by Dallas Willard called Disciplines of Jesus that I love. He prayed, he fasted. I love these disciplines, okay? It's not a legalistic thing. It's a habit thing. And about 3 or 4 Sundays ago, I can't remember when it was for certain, but I talked on the one thing in my life that changed everything in my life when I was a young man. I think I was 23 or 24 years old. And the business, everything was growing. Everything around me was growing. And I was building another business on top of that. And I was just overwhelmed. And I would find myself waking up in the morning and going, I'm not going to make it. I don't have what it takes. This is too big for me. I never went to college. And all day long, I would talk to myself like that. And consequently, I wouldn't get near as much done. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I will never forget the day I woke up and said, I'm not talking to myself like that anymore. So I would say, I'm more than enough. I've got everything I need. God is guiding me. He is directing me. You're leading my path. And I'm going to have the greatest day. I'm telling you, life didn't get easier, but I got more productive. Most of us are working ourselves into a frenzy. I would just encourage you, don't allow anybody in your life to have that much power over your life. And I got to say this because I'm a pastor. Whatever you do, don't ever give your life and your influence and your gifts and your talents over to the evil one. And you'll know, because one produces life and one produces death. So that's big, all right? I love you. Get out of here and go kill something, all right? All right, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it.